At just 2 years old, while most children were learning to speak in full sentences, Iman Bisha was doing something very few could comprehend. She was singing, not just nursery rhymes, but with such clarity and pitch that it startled her own parents. What began as innocent humming soon transformed into full operatic renditions, echoing through the walls of her family home in Amman, Jordan. Her mother and father were stunned, unsure whether they were witnessing a phase or a miracle. But by the time she turned 6, the answer was undeniable. This was no ordinary child. Iman, with no formal training, was learning to sing opera. Yes, opera, by watching YouTube videos. It wasn't long before the world would catch on. Just a year later, at only 7 years old, she stood in front of 10,000 people at a spring training baseball game in Port Charlotte, Florida, and performed the U.S. national anthem without hesitation. The crowd didn't just cheer, they froze, mesmerized by the voice of someone so small delivering a sound so powerful. But that was just the beginning. In 2017, at age 8, Iman Bisha took the stage on Arab's Got Talent, and the moment she opened her mouth, the entire Arab world stood still. Judges were left speechless. Viewers were in tears. She didn't just win the competition, she owned it. And in that instant, a new chapter began. From living room performances to regional fame, her rise was unlike anything seen before. But as incredible as her public triumphs were, what happened next would catapult her far beyond the Middle East and into the heart of America's biggest talent stage. After captivating the Middle East, Iman Bisha's voice would soon echo across the globe. Fresh off her jaw-dropping win on Arab's Got Talent, she was invited to perform for none other than His Majesty King Abdullah II of Jordan. The performance earned her one of the nation's highest honors, the Golden Superiority Medal, an award reserved for individuals of exceptional merit. For most, this kind of recognition might signal the pinnacle of a career. But for Iman, it was just another stepping stone. Her next stop? The world's biggest stage, America's Got Talent. In 2019, at just 10 years old, she walked out onto the AGT stage and faced a panel of judges that had seen it all. But what they hadn't seen or heard was a child with the vocal precision and emotional depth to sing Nessun Dorma, one of opera's most difficult pieces. The reaction was instant. The audience erupted, jaws dropped, and guest judge Jay Leno slammed the golden buzzer, an honor reserved only for the most unforgettable performers. That one moment sent golden confetti raining down and rocketed Iman into the hearts of millions across America and beyond. She followed up with a haunting rendition of Caruso and later Eben, Andro Lantana, proving she wasn't a one-hit wonder. She was a force of nature. In the grand finale, Iman stood on stage beside the legendary pianist Lang Lang, performing Canti Partiro in a duet that can only be described as once in a generation. The girl who once sang in her living room in Amman was now closing out AGT's season finale in front of millions of viewers, securing her spot among the top 10 finalists and finishing 9th overall. But while many young stars would fade after such a bright flash of fame, Iman's story was still only unfolding. And what came next would prove she wasn't just a TV talent. She was the real deal. After dominating both Arab and American stages, Iman Bisha's voice didn't just win applause. It earned her global recognition. In the months following her AGT success, honors came pouring in from all corners of the world. She was named a UNICEF Champion for Children, a title rarely given to someone so young, acknowledging her vocal advocacy and inspirational presence. But it didn't stop there. In January 2020, Iman received the Golden Child Prodigy Award, an international accolade that celebrates the most gifted youth across all fields, from music and art to entrepreneurship and humanitarian work. She wasn't just nominated, she won, beating out nominees from dozens of countries. Even more impressively, she was recognized as one of the top 100 prodigies of the year, a list that typically includes youth changing the world in groundbreaking ways. At just 11 years old, Iman had managed to earn titles that adults spend lifetimes pursuing. Industry giants also took notice. That same year, she signed a worldwide publishing deal with Sony ATV, one of the most powerful music companies in the industry, a clear signal that her voice was no fleeting trend. She shared stages with legends, including a moving performance alongside American singer Jewel at Cirque du Soleil's annual fundraiser in Las Vegas. She also graced the set of Little Big Shots with Steve Harvey, captivating U.S. television audiences once again. Wherever she went, the reaction was the same: shock, awe, and admiration. But what separated Iman from most rising stars wasn't just her talent. It was how grounded she remained despite the glitz. She wasn't chasing viral fame. She was building a legacy. And while the world celebrated her soaring career, behind the scenes, Iman was still just a young girl living a very different kind of life, one far removed from the spotlight. Despite the roaring applause, red carpets, and flashing lights, Iman Bisha's real life was surprisingly quiet. After all the global recognition, the million-dollar deals, and the standing ovations, she returned each day to a modest life in Northport, Florida, where she lives with her parents and 2 younger brothers. While other teen stars juggled fame and public schools, Iman remained homeschooled by her mother, learning not only traditional subjects, but also shaping her musical foundation from home. And believe it or not, much of her training still came from watching YouTube. She had access to top-tier vocal coaches and industry professionals, yet continued to rely on digital platforms and self-teaching to sharpen her opera skills, a reminder of her disciplined and unorthodox path. But there's much more to Iman than music. When she's not singing, she's baking cookies and cakes, crafting bracelets from wire, or turning pillows into creative playtime games with her siblings. She also plays the guitar, takes dance lessons, swims regularly, and even dabbles in horseback riding. In other words, she's still a kid at heart. Her father, a businessman who runs an ice cream factory and coffee shop, spends most of his time working while Iman stays home with her mom and siblings, living what could easily be mistaken for a normal family life. And yet, this normal teenager has a global fan base and a voice that once silenced entire arenas. It's this contrast, the superstar performer who makes jewelry in her room, that makes Emanne Beasha so intriguing. While many young celebrities fall into the trap of fame, Iman seemed more focused on balance. But that balance wasn't accidental. It was part of a carefully managed lifestyle designed to protect something much more fragile than fame: her voice. For Emanne Beasha, fame has never been sprint. It's a carefully paced journey, and that's exactly how she treats her voice. While most young talents are pushed to perform nonstop, Iman takes a different route. She understands that her vocal cords are still developing, and she treats them like the rare instrument they are. Under the guidance of 2 vocal coaches, Lisa Hugo and Maxwell David, Iman has built a routine designed not to stretch her capabilities, but to protect them. She's refreshingly honest about her limits. If she's not feeling 100%, she won't force herself to sing. In fact, she's even told live audiences that she needed to pause a performance, not because of nerves, but because she refuses to deliver anything less than her best. Her philosophy is simple but rare. If it's not authentic, it's not worth it. That mindset isn't just professional, it's deeply personal. Iman knows that pushing too hard too early could cost her the thing she loves most. So, instead of treating her voice like a commodity, she treats it like a gift, one to be nurtured, not exploited. On any given day, her practice sessions can last anywhere from 30 minutes to 4 hours, depending on how she feels. And when she practices, it's often with her mother, turning rehearsal into a bonding experience rather than a chore. But Iman's caution isn't limited to her vocals. Her overall approach to mental health and balance is surprisingly mature for someone so young. She doesn't chase trends, she doesn't court controversy, and she's not obsessed with constant content creation. She simply focuses on being ready for the stage, for the moment, and for the future. And as she continues to grow, her voice isn't the only thing developing. So is her worldview, her independence, and her drive to connect with something bigger than herself. But where does that drive come from? The answer may lie far from the spotlight and thousands of miles away from home. For Iman Bisha, music isn't just a passion, it's a passport. While many performers chase fame within the confines of studios and stage lights, Iman seeks something deeper: connection through culture. Her travels aren't just vacations, they're opportunities to learn, grow, and form bonds that shape her music and her mindset. Among all her international journeys, one destination stands out: Sri Lanka. It wasn't a concert tour or a media event. It was a family trip, far from the pressure of performances, and it ended up changing her life in quiet but meaningful ways. There, she met a young girl in her ballet class who became a close friend, someone with whom she stayed in contact to this day. That experience, away from cameras and crowds, opened her eyes to how music and friendship can transcend borders. Iman now dreams of returning to Sri Lanka, not just as a tourist, but as a performer, hoping to one day sing for the people of a country she now feels deeply connected to. She believes that every new place she visits teaches her something about people, about nature, and about herself. And while her heart beats for music, her curiosity beats for the world. In another life, she admits she might have been a veterinarian, a profession inspired by her love for animals and nature. It's this combination of artistry and empathy that makes Iman Bisha so rare. She doesn't just want to be known, she wants to understand. And through each cultural exchange, each friendship formed abroad, she's shaping herself not just as a global performer, but as a global citizen. Yet while her heart may roam freely across continents, she always returns home with something new to offer, whether it's in her lyrics, her attitude, or her ever-growing dream. And that dream is something she's more than ready to defend. Because even at 15, Emanne Beasha has wisdom far beyond her years. Behind Iman Bisha's graceful presence and polished performances lies a mind sharpened by experience, and a message for those who dare to follow in her footsteps. While her rise to fame may look effortless from the outside, Iman is the first to admit the truth. The journey is hard. She's learned, even as a child, that success doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it comes with rejection. In interviews and conversations, she's been candid about the emotional toll of being in the public eye at such a young age. She warns that not all music is for everyone, and not everyone will understand your voice, your genre, or your purpose. But the key, she says, is resilience, knowing that rejection is not the end of the road, but a step on it. Her advice to aspiring artists is as clear as it is powerful. Stay dignified, stay focused, and above all, stay grounded. For Iman, fame isn't the goal, connection is. She believes true artists know their audience deeply, not just through lyrics, but through values. That's why she puts so much effort into managing her social media responsibly, seeing it not as a spotlight, but as a tool to uplift and inspire. And while she has amassed fans from around the world, she never loses sight of who she is and why she sings. She encourages young performers to love what they do, not just chase applause. Because once the noise fades, only passion remains. Her philosophy is simple. If you love what you do, and you do it with heart, success will follow, not overnight, and not without hardship, but steadily and with purpose. Iman's story is proof that you can be both talented and humble, celebrated and wise. But what does the future look like for someone who's already achieved so much at such a young age? The answer might surprise you. With accolades behind her and the world at her feet, you'd think Iman Bisha might take a moment to slow down. But that's not how prodigies think, and certainly not this one. At just 15 years old, Iman isn't just dreaming about her future, she's already building it. With a net worth estimated at nearly $1 million, she's proven that talent, when paired with discipline and vision, can create a foundation for something much bigger than momentary fame. Yet, despite the numbers and the recognition, Iman remains strikingly private about her personal life. She doesn't chase headlines, doesn't flaunt wealth, and avoids the flashy lifestyle that often swallows young stars whole. Instead, she focuses on long-term goals, collaborating with others, learning continuously, and expanding her creative reach. She's expressed interest in growing an empire, not just in music, but in art, education, and global connection. Still, she remains open to where life might take her. While singing is her deepest passion, Iman has said she's willing to go with the flow. Whether that means pivoting into new careers, exploring entrepreneurship, or pursuing philanthropy, she's prepared for change, but never without intention. Whatever she chooses, one thing is clear: Music will always be her soul's anchor. Even if she sings for crowds of thousands, small gatherings of friends, or simply to herself in the shower, it's a part of who she is. Iman's story isn't defined by early fame. It's defined by a deep-rooted love for art, growth, and authenticity. And as she matures into adulthood, she's not just aiming to be remembered as a child star. She's determined to be recognized as a lifelong artist and innovator, and maybe even a leader in spaces far beyond the stage. The world may know her voice, but it's her vision that will shape the years to come. And if the past is any indication, we haven't seen the best of Iman Bisha yet, not even close.